Well, hello, and welcome to the Legacy Insights Podcast. And I'm your host, Moving Money Mike. And tonight, I can tell you, I've said it before, that we've got some great information for you, but this is not only great information, but it's timely. Tonight's episode number 15, stressed out and financially spent. What a timely topic. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm your host, Moving Money Mark, and this is episode 15. And we're here to discuss entrepreneurship, financial strategies to guide you to your goals and dreams. Simply put, we're going to provide insight to get your mind and your money right. We're going to be covering topics, tips, interviews, webinars, Q&A, current events. That's where we are tonight about this financial economic situation that a lot of people are finding themselves in, that and how they affect you and how they shouldn't affect you. We're going to be just diving right into this financial stress, right, and how it actually affects your body. So I want you to consider some things. I want you to really listen to this episode. Get your pens and your paper out because, like, I'm going to be dropping these nuggets. I'm going to be dropping solutions for you, right? Some organization, some application, and then guess what? Some transformation, right? Because that's what this show is all about: transforming you from where you are to where you're going, getting from the planning stage to your strategy to your goals, right? Organization, application, transformation. So those are the things I want you to consider where you're at the moment, right? What do you need to do? How are you feeling about what are you doing, right? So this is really going to be an in-depth show here. So we need to know what a legacy is and how we're going to create it, right? Because, like, you don't want to live from day to day. You want to be in the creation mode, right? We're all creators, right? And this is my gift to you, right? My goal is to assist you in becoming a better informed individual, entrepreneur, and to help you get to financially free. So it's time to let's get smarter. All right, so I got my trusty show notes here. Um, and believe me, you're going to want to take some notes today. You're really going to want to take some notes today, um, because we're talking about stress and finances. It's all over the news, right? I've said it before. No one's coming to save us, right? We've got to be our own advocates in this game called life. We have to do some things. We have to get our mind and our money right. Um, This is for the working class, Gen Xers, millennials, managing families, and the financial pressures that we're all under. Right? I don't care where you're at, whether you're a 10,000-aire, 100,000-aire, multimillionaire. Right? Guess what? We all got money issues. Right? So I was listening to another financial professional. I'm not sure if everybody here knows him, but John Hope Bryant, um, awesome individual, great podcast host as well in the financial space, like myself. And he was talking about the different levels of income and how people who are multiple millionaires and who are earning multiple seven-figure checks, have the same type of expenses someone who would be making 70 to $90,000, right? It's just more of it, right? So let's go ahead and jump right into this information here, and so that we can truly understand what we're up against and what we're facing. And guess what? What's not going to change for a while? Like I said, this is not a political show. It is an economic one, and you got to understand that they do affect each other, right? We're not passing any judgment or pushing any blame. What we're doing is going to take some responsibility for our own economy, right? See, we don't have to worry about what's going on so much in the world's economy. We got to figure out what's happening in our economy at our own homes, right? we are the CEOs in the CEOs and the money managers of our lives, right? We have to take control of that, right? And no one else can do that but us, right? So one of my other mentors, Darren Hardy, would say, "My life is my own damn fault." Right? If I don't like the way the cake tastes, right? Change the recipe. You know, don't put too much salt in it. Don't put don't put too much sugar in it, right? Because too much sugar will over sweeten the cake and it'd be bad too, right? Even more unhealthy than what it is, right? So let's keep this thing moving here. All right, so we're talking to those working class individuals. We're talking to the people who are millionaires, right? Because they get millionaires next door. It's a great book called Millionaire Next Door, right? Where on paper they're worth $1 million, but they dress like you and I, right? They look like you and I. And that's the great thing about being a millionaire today. Anybody that you're talking to could be a millionaire. I've got quite a few millionaires in this phone, right? That are my mentors, right? And they've inspired me to do what I'm doing now, is to share the information so that, guess what? You can get there too, because we can all share in the wealth here, right? In growing ourselves. So have you ever felt like every dollar that you make comes with a pounding heartbeat and sleepless nights? Like I said, I want you to consider some things. Have you ever felt that way? Like, man, I'm going to work, I'm putting in these 40 hours plus 40 plus hours, and like, I don't know where my money's at. You know, I'm still feeling the pressure of just not having enough or feeling secure in what I'm making, right? Having too much month and not enough money, right? You having more month than money at the end of the month. Like that's not good, man. Like, you coming up, you 2 more weeks in a month and you already broke. That's a problem, and I don't even like using that term problem. That's an issue, right? Problems don't tend to have solutions, issues do. But that's why this show is here. So we have some issues that we can apply some solutions to. Let's keep it going, right? The issue that we're facing is rising debt, right? The average household in America has about $15,000 in debt, some more, right? And I'm talking about the average American. Now, like I said, the more money you make, the more debt you have. You better believe it. Not all debt is bad though. So I want you to understand that as well. So when I say that there's $15,000 in debt, typically that's credit card debt, right? Debt from the niceties rather than the necessities, or right, the debt that turns into assets. Right? Told you there's different types of debt here that we're talking about. So like, here we go. We're talking about rising debt, inflation, and stagnant wages. Right? So even if you're making 6 and 7 figures, right, and you got a certain lifestyle, guess what? You got to bring in some more money to free up some more of your time, right? And to do more, right? Because you get accustomed to a certain lifestyle. You got, if you're a 7 figure, 8 figure earner, right? And you've got you know, a dietitian, you got a personal assistant, at work and at the gym, right? You're paying these individuals, right? And you're paying them a working wage, right? So like, they're those stagnant wages mean that you got to make more money so that you can recoup some of that money that you're paying out for those different assets in um lifestyles that you're living with. So let's keep it going, right? So what about the rising debt, right? What about that? What can we do there? Think about it. I know that there's some things in your life that you could possibly do without. You know, do you cook home meals, or do you eat out every night, or do when you go to the office or or the job, right? Are you taking lunch or are you buying lunch out? Right. So we're talking here about good money management, right? We're talking about good money management. And if you go back to episode 4 or 5, I believe it is one of those two is the legacy framework, right? The 6 pillars. You need to check out that episode. You need to go check out that episode, right? Because those 6 pillars are going to be the framework for getting your mind and your money right. So, you know, rising debt, right? Rising debt. If you're spending money on lunches and not and buying dinners out every night, how can you pay down your debt when you're taking your disposable income that you're supposed to having, assigning it to your debt to lower your debt and getting some of those high interest credit cards off your back, right? You know those are some of the things you could be doing. And what about just inflation all around, right? We can't do anything about inflation, right? Except for vote. Like I said, it's not a political show, but hey, we're talking about resolving some issues, right? Getting some information about who and what is around us and the things that we can affect change, we should be affecting change in, right? One of the pillars, that's a pillar C, change, right? You want to, you don't want to be caught from paycheck to paycheck in that pillar. Um, so we're talking about debt, inflation, and stagnant wages, right? When was the last time you gave yourself a raise? Oh, that's right, you can't. That's on your on your company to do that, right? So you can't even give yourself a raise. But if you go to one of the 6 pillars, which is the second pillar, elevate, right? Guess what? You'd upskill right there, right? You could do away with the stagnant wages because you get some more skills, right? Guess what? You get some education, get some more skills, another degree, right? Now you can apply for a higher paying job, right? So that stagnant wage doesn't, become one of the hindrances in your life, right? Because you already got high debt, right? We all got debt at some point, right? Whether it's good or bad, we got debt, right? And then the inflation is always going to be there, right? And it's getting ready to get real bad too, right? Half of the tariffs that haven't even kicked in yet, right? So strap on and strap in, strap in because it's coming, right? So anyway, today we're just talking about stress isn't just emotional, it's biological, and it's trying to tell you something. Okay, so I hope you got that. Stress just isn't emotional, it's biological. And it's telling you something. And what that's telling you is you need to address some areas in your life that are bringing you this emotional and biological situation that is causing you some pain. And then what's going to happen is that when it's as long, if you can keep it personal, that's good if you're single. But if you got this emotional and biological stress on you, and you have people around you, right, in your house, your family members, the kids, the dog, right? Guess what they're going to feel? They're going to feel that emotional and biological stress that you're dealing with, right? So it does affect. It's like the ripple. It's like throwing a rock in a lake, right? That ripple goes out. It touches everything out to the edges. So that stresses that pebble in the stone, a stone, pebble and stone in that lake, that still water that is your soul and your spirit, right? That debt, that stress is rippling out and it's going to touch those loved ones that surround you. And hopefully we can manage that. But with this information, right, we'll be able to apply it and get some things going. So here we are talking about the science of stress. There's 4 stages. Let's get into it. Okay, got my trusty notes here. The first stress stage is alarm and reaction. The body's fight or flight. When you're feeling that stress, you want to do one of two things. You want to either address it or run away from it. Adrenaline kicks in, It spikes, the heart races when the bills pile up. Guess what? If you can't pay the rent, pay the mortgage, get the car note, right? By that third or fourth car note, if you're not paid up, guess who's coming knocking? The repo man. If you don't pay that rent by the second month, the middle of the second month, guess who's knocking? The landlord. And they're sending you letters, right? We're talking about that financial stress that comes when you're not able to make the ends meet, right? That adrenaline starts to going, right? That's the first stage. Resistance is the second stage. You adapt, you start juggling, cutting corners, and ignoring the warning signs, right? That's called denial in some cases, right? Oh, it's not as bad as it really is. Let me just keep doing what I've been doing and hope things get better. Wow. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like insanity. Because guess what? Repeating the same mistakes over and over again, expecting different results is insanity, right? So, what we need to do is get some tools, right? Some tips and some tricks. That's what we're here for, to help you to manage this. Number three, exhaustion. The third stage, emotional burnout, poor health, fatigue, tension, headaches. Wow. Wow. Sounds like some serious stress taking place here. Because when you're not making those payments, the money's not coming in. You got more month than you got money. Guess what? You're feeling bad. I know some people who just shut down completely because of the fatigue and the emotional strain of just not having enough money, time, not enough of the things that they need so that they can move forward in a healthy manner, right? And the fourth stage is recovery. How recovery happens only when you take intentional financial action. Okay, in other words, it's not going to fix itself. It's not going to fix itself. If you have financial stress in your life and you're not taking corrective action, financial action, with some of the tips and the strategies that we provide for you here today, you're going to continue to have this financial stress that in your life with all these symptoms taking place: alarm reaction, resistance, exhaustion, right? And hopefully you get some recovery, right, by applying some of these strategies and these tips, right? So what are some of the real life issues that you're going to be experiencing? Well, we already talked about it: late bills, debt collectors, paycheck to paycheck fatigue. Now, how many people here, but being honest with yourself, have late bills right now and someone's knocking on the door, sending you letters that you got to pay, and you just can't pay it because you don't have the money? That's what we're talking about here. How many out there are feeling the fatigue of paycheck to paycheck? I told you that's one of the pillars. Change, changing the cycle of generational paycheck to paycheck. It's one of the pillars. I need everybody here at the sound of my voice. Go to the Legacy Insights podcast on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Check out all the episodes, the previous 14 episodes. Get your mind and your money right. Hit that QR code there on the screen on the site there. Scan that QR code. Put your name and your email in there. Register. Take that financial overview. Learn some things. Reaffirm some things, some knowledge, so that you can get your mind and your money right. I'm here to assist you in every way possible when it comes to information that's going to transform you. It's going to help to organize you. It's going to help to provide some applicable skills. And then eventually, as with time and consistency and some commitment, we're going to transform where you're at to your goals of where you're going. Wouldn't that be lovely? What if, right? What if you could just take time off and not feel the burden anymore? What if You could go to your car, turn the key, and it start up because guess what? You're not driving that hoopty anymore. What if, right? You could move from where you are into a better area, neighborhood, or building or home, right? Because you got your money right, right? Because you got your budget right, right? And now you can change your keys, right? How about you go to an upskill, right? And get out of that wage stagnation, right? And you can change the keys to basically your car, your home, everything, right? Wouldn't that be lovely? What if? That's what we're working about. That's what we're working on. So here we go. There's two really big areas about stress that I want to touch on. There's acute and there's chronic stress. So what's the difference? Acute is short-term money challenges. When it comes to financial stress, you know, short-term money challenges are huge. Now, what would that look like? Right? What would that look like? A short-term acute money issue. Let's talk about it. Car repair. Man, if you're like me, you're driving a middle of the road type vehicle. You know what those repair costs are, right? Because of the type of vehicle I drive, to replace a turn signal, they got to drop the whole front end of my vehicle to just repair and replace a $20 turn signal costs me $600. So guess what I do? I replace both turn signals at the same time. So that's $40, and it's $600 in labor just to drop the front of the vehicle, the front end of the car off to put in those two $20 bulbs. Car repairs, tires, to put a new set of tires in your vehicle today, anywhere between 1,200 to $1,500, depending on the type of vehicle you drive. Right now, and just say when you miss a payment. There's a $40 late fee for every missed payment. If you got a couple of credit cards like me, and I got a couple, if you miss a payment because like you got home late and the 5 o'clock come, by 5:05 they hit you, they hit you with a $40 late payment that day. So what I've done was I've made sure to schedule my payments the day before or right up to that moment, because I'm not paying them before they need to have it. I'm not paying them a week before. No, I'm not doing it, right? But that's my stuff, right? How you do yours is how you do yours. But the idea is not to pay that $40 late payment, right? So you get your balances down, you pay them on time, and you keep those late fees from adding up because that's just free money, besides what they're already getting us for, right? And then those unexpected expenses. When we talk about acute financial stress, car repairs, late payments, missed payments, and unexpected things that come along, right? And I can tell you, I had to buy a new lawnmower, cost me $350, and it wasn't even the best lawnmower either, right? It wasn't like a ride behind. It wasn't, it was a push lawnmower. I had to push that thing. It was not self-driving, nothing, right? Thank God I don't have that much grass to cut, and I can pay the kid to cut the lawn, right? Just give him the keys. But you know what I'm saying now, right? These unexpected expenses, buying a lawnmower, buying a weed whacker. I bought a new lawnmower. I bought a brand new blower, right, for the leaves, right? Blow off the sidewalk, everything like that, because I like to do that sometimes. It's good, healthy work, right? Get the blood moving, right? And you make the place look nice, right? But my original blower, the cord broke, right? So now I'm saying, oh man, I went out and bought a new blower because I didn't, the older one that I had, the pull cord broke, and it sat around for a while. And I said, let me go look on YouTube to see if I could repair this blower, right? So I go on YouTube. I watched the guy in a 5 minute video repair the cord. Take the old cord off, took out 4 or 5 screws, right? Took the housing off, pulled the little broken wire a cord out. Had a 45 cent 4 foot cord because that's what it cost me, the replacement cord. I went to Ace Hardware, right? Name dropping, went to the hardware store, got the 4 foot of cable of nylon rope. It cost me 45 cents. I spent $200 and some change on a new blower. The repair of the old blower was 45 cents and a little bit of elbow grease. I could have saved myself 250 bucks. YouTube University, right? So, like, guess what? You're not alone with those unexpected expenses. It happens to all of us. So let's keep this going. Now we're talking about the second type of financial stress. It's chronic, right? So we talked about acute, which is those things that just pop up, right? Car expenses, unexpected missed payments, late fees. Those are acute. They're happening to you, right? But the chronic is the ongoing financial instability. Wow. That's the stuff that really sets you off, man. That's what really lays back here on your mind. That chronic financial instability, that chronic stress that's constantly gnawing at you, saying to you, what are you going to do? How are you going to get out of this? How are you going to pay this down? You're on a fixed income. You're stretched to the limit, right? You're not applying any financial strategies to your life and your condition. So your money has no destination, right? It's just going out. But that's what we're here to fix. That's what we're here to fix. Underemployment is part of that chronic instability, financial instability. Underemployment. I told you the legacy framework is here for you. Everything that you need, I'll be providing to you in the legacy framework, the 6 pillars to address all these things, right? So I'm talking to you about the timeliness of this financial stress because of the time that we're in this country, right? And it's going to be going on for the next few years, right? The prices aren't going to be coming down anytime soon, right? They lowered the interest rate, I think, 0.75%, right? And what does that translate to in prices? Not a lot. Not a whole hell of a lot, right? So ongoing chronic financial instability is caring for family and no savings, right? We talked about it last week about the Generation X being the sandwich generation because they're taking care of the millennials and the baby boomers, right? How are you going to take care of the Gen Xers, right? I mean, the millennials, as they're coming home from college, undereducated, there's no jobs out there, and aging parents, and put away for your retirement too. That's the chronic financial instability that we're talking about here. You got to go to the legacy framework, the 6 pillars that I offer here to get the answers that you need to move yourself from where you are to where you're going. Let's keep it moving. This stress slowly erodes your confidence in, like, us guys. Like, if you're struggling to pay your bills, how can you feel good about where you're at, right? You can't go on vacation. You can't take your loved ones out to dinner. You can't get the car repaired. So everybody's got to take, Ubers or asking a friend for a ride or jumping on the bus. Now there's nothing wrong with that though. There's nothing wrong with that because some people just don't want to drive. Like if you live in the city, it'll make no sense to have a car. You're having to get up in the middle of the night to switch parking because you can't. It's opposite side of the street parking. Crazy. I wouldn't even have a car. I get me an e-bike or a scooter or something. right? But I'm not getting up in the middle of the night just to move my car to the other side of the street, right? But these are things that people do. So what I'm talking about here is being ongoing financial instability, where you have no savings, and you can't take care of those things that you need to take care of, like getting a car repaired, taking your family out to dinner, because like this ongoing situation has got you down. How could you feel good about yourself, right? It's time to take care of yourself. It's time to take care of the money, right? Because if you take care of your money, it's going to take care of you, right? As you upskill, as you learn these employability skills by going to the elevate pillar, right? You learn about financial strategies in the first pillar. Learn with those two steps alone can get you started back to a road of recovery, financial recovery. Let's keep it going. Let's talk about the health impacts of the financial stress. How is that affecting you? Do you realize that you may not be sleeping through the night because of that cognitive load that's back there, the chronic stress levels that you're feeling because the money's not there? You got more month than you got money, right? You know the bills are due and you just don't have it because you don't have any tools in place. You don't have any tools in place, but we're going to fix that. We're going to fix it. We're going to work toward it, right? Because that's what this show is about. Go to the Legacy Insights podcast on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Go back in those previous episodes. Get the tools that you need that are going to change your life, right? It's going to help you to get your mind and your money right, because every dollar should have a place. Okay, here's keep it going, right? Do you know that financial stress can add to weight gain because of the way the stress reacts in the body, the physical body? It brings about cortisol, which actually brings about fat cells, right? You don't. We already got enough. If you're not eating properly, we're not eating properly. Now you worry. You're not getting any sleep. You're tired, so you're just going to grab the first thing you see, right? Right? So and you're going to eat that, and you're worried. So the bad food, the extra cortisol from the worrying and the bad food, now you're wondering why you got an extra little bit of weight on you, right? You got an extra little bit of pinch of the inch, as they say, right? Right? But this is what this show is about. It's about legacy building. It's about being aware of the pitfalls around us, right? So let's keep it going here, right? Because it talks about weight gain and it affects your focus. How can you focus if you're not eating right? You got the chronic stress on you, that the cognitive load of these bills are back there. You're trying to work. You got the kids stressing. Everything around you is just not in place, right? But that's what this show is all about. Today's episode 15, stressed out and financially spent, how we can address what is going on in your life so that we can actually help you get there. So here we go. Don't worry about it, because I'm not going to bring you to this place and not have some solutions for you. I'm not going to bring some things. You can't unwake the woke, right? So here we go, right? Here it is right now. I'm laying it out there, right? There's some stress signals, right? And you got to take some action. So here it is, right? Stress is an early warning system, just like anything, right? You got air raid signals, you got tornado signals, right? You've got uh, uh, um, all these other alarms that go off, fire alarms, smoke alarms, right? It's stress is not a sign of weakness. Actually, it's a sign of defense and strength. It's telling you it's time to do something, right? And together we can solve it, right? Let's keep going. So, actions to relieve stress. Here we go. We're going to create a realistic budget that supports emotional peace. Wow. How do we do that? Let's just dive into that. We're going to create a realistic budget that promotes emotional peace, right? See, the financial piece will come later. Once you get the emotional piece, you see what we're talking about here, right? You got to get your mind right first, your spirit right, then the financial, the money right, will get right. Okay, so this is what I've been saying all the time. This is why the show is, you get your mind and your money right. We're moving money, Mike. That's what we're talking about here, right? So let's go. That realistic budget is going to allow you to look at your expenses, first look at your income, right? You got to know what's coming in, right, for the month, right? So if you're getting paid weekly or bi-weekly or one time a month, it doesn't matter. You're going to adjust accordingly. Then you're going to write down all your expenses, your outgoing expenses in debt, right? And you subtract the two from each other. Listen, this is basic stuff here. I'm not telling, this is not rocket science, right? But the realistic budget is this, is that once you've got your inflow and your outflow, you got to control your overhead because that will be your downfall, right? So here you go. Those niceties could be your overhead, right? Trying to live up to somebody else's expectations or impress people you don't even like or care about, right? So you want to get that income, those expenses, subtract the two, know what you're left with, right? Your net, well, the net is what you bring home, right? And then you want to know what your disposable income is, right? After all that, then you're going to take that and then you're going to create a budget for yourself to have a good time. You got to have take some time out, right? You got to take some time out. There's no way you're going to go to work 40 to 60 hours, 80 hours a week and not take and let some steam off without blowing a gasket. Sooner or later, you're going to blow a gasket. That realistic budget is going to help support your emotional peace, right? So you you dial in that amount that you need to do whatever it is that you need to blow that steam, right? And then you're going to create an environment around that place, that thing that you want to do to blow off the steam, that allows you to do it within some peace, right? Like I tell everybody, my home is my refuge, right? My home is my refuge. And there's no way I'm letting someone come in and destroy that. No. All the nonsense stops at the curb. Okay. I tell people all the time the nonsense stops at the curb. Second thing that you can do to actions to relieve stress, talk openly with your spouse or accountability partner, right? See, if you're keeping things all bottled in, it's almost like a cancer. You got to talk about where you are in your intention with action, because intention and potential don't mean a damn thing unless you put some action to it. Right? That man got potential. That woman got potential. Oh, hell no. If they ain't doing it, it's a good possibility they ain't going to do it later either. So when we're talking about, right, having an accountability partner, they're going to insist that you do some action. Now, I know your spouse, she wants to see you do better. And if she doesn't, that's another show, right? But there should be some alignment there. That's one of the pillars as well. So every time I start talking about some things, I got a pillar for that in the financial framework, the legacy framework, right? You got to be in alignment with yourself and with your spouse, with your I would say your tribe, right? Because we're all part of a tribe, right? And it's your family, and that's what it is, right? You got to be in alignment. That accountability partner, your spouse, should help you to relieve the stress by talking about it and then coming up with some action. Let's keep it going. You got third thing, builds small emergency savings goal. Now we talked about that too in with my financial needs analysis. There's six things that I do in as a financial specialist that I help people with, and one of them is creating an emergency fund, right? Typically, I'd say to people, oh, you need at least $600, but in the time that we're in today, in the economic times that we're dealing with, the financial times that we're dealing with, I say you at least have to have $1,000 to $2,000 in an emergency fund. And if you think I'm joking, again, if you're driving a vehicle and you don't have one of those car protection plans, right? Guess what? Who's on the hook for that? You. I talked about in one episode about how you'll drive past some people's homes. They got a car in the driveway, a car in the garage under a tarp, and then I got a car on the outside on the side of the house up on blocks under a tarp, right? Hoping one day they have enough money to fix those vehicles because, hey, they can't afford it. They can't afford to give it away. They can't afford to get it fixed. So now it's just on blocks, rusted away because of they don't have an emergency fund, right? Got to have one working car, two working cars in a home today, right? So you got to build that emergency fund up to at least $1,000 or more. That's my suggestion. Then you got to automate your bills. I talked about that, right? Automate the bills and savings to reduce decision fatigue. Not only decision fatigue, right? But late payments. They're crazy now. $40, $45 in late payment per charge. That's a bill in itself, right? So if you automate those bills and savings, so if you get those on automatic payment, and then the money that you're putting away for your realistic emotional uh peace budget, right? You get that on automatic deposit into a savings account, or you could just name it. Hey, this is that stress reliever fund, right? Well, honey, I'm going to take you out. We're going to do this on this day once a month because we earned it when we got through the month and we did everything we were supposed to do. Okay, I'm gonna get some tools together. I'm working on those tools to get them out to you. Some free resources that you'll be able to download and and put to use. I'm working on that as we speak. Because you deserve it, right? You as the listeners out there, you as those hardworking family members and individuals, business owners, you deserve these resources, and I'm going to get them to you, right? So the fifth one, stress reliever, is seek financial counseling if overwhelmed. If you're listening to this show right now, you're getting that financial counseling. Like I said, and once I get these free resources together in downloadable form, and you could download those resources and put them to work. Like I said, this show is about getting you organized, getting you some organization so that you can have some application to get to some transformation. You hear what I'm talking about? That's what this show is about. That's what the Legacy Insights podcast is all about. I'm your host, Moving Money Mike. This is the episode 15. Stressed out and emotional and financially spent. Man, what a topic and what a timely one. Okay, so let's keep this moving. Um, we got to build some resilience against this financial stress, right? So how do we do that? It's a mindset shift, right? From panic to planning. Panic and fear never fixed anything. They say, what's the difference between, what's the same between a hero and someone who ran away? Fear. They both had that same emotion, right? It's just the hero stepped forward. The other guy stepped back. They both felt the same thing. There was stress and there was fear, but it depends on what you want to do with that stress and that fear, right? You got to step into it. You got to lean into it, man, right? Because it's not going away and no one's coming to save us. right? So that's the great thing about this show. We're going to help you step up and lean in, right? So I want to introduce you to something, a new concept that like I said, I've been working on some things, and it's the legacy resilience formula. It's awareness plus action plus adjustment equals accountability. Did you get that? It's the four A's: awareness plus action and adjustment equals accountability. That's the legacy resilience formula. We're going to be working on this together here, right? Along with the six pillars of the legacy framework and the awareness, the legacy resilience formula, you can make the changes in your life to take you and yourself and your family to the next level. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to encourage some daily habits for you. Okay, and the first is meditation. Um, I've practiced some meditation, and I've been practicing meditation for some time, where I just tune out everything and everybody. Right, I'll go out and sit in my gazebo, and I'll just sit back, close my eyes, listen to the birds, listening to the wind chimes that are out there in the yard, and I'll just let it go. So I in attempt to really just quiet my mind. Don't think about what's happening in the house. Not think about what's the sirens going down. Hear the train in the distance. You're just listening, and you're taking it in, and you're just quieting yourself. That's what you want to do. You got to practice that meditation. Secondly, you got gratitude journaling. What are you thankful for? Right? I was told, if you're not grateful today for yesterday, were you ever really grateful at all? Right? If you're not grateful every minute of every day, you got to ask yourself, were you ever grateful at all? Because every day you wake up, you're better off than somebody else somewhere else. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. In your worst situation, in your worst situation, you are better off than somebody else someplace else in this world. You think about that. There are some people that are in some pretty bad situations, and I've had the experience of work in my past careers and in my past life to have seen some things, gone some places, been able to help some other people, right, that are in situations that you would not believe. Right, there's a war going on right now, as we all know. Right, like I said, this is not a political show, but this it's a reality that, right, these things are taking place around the world. If you're sitting in your house, you got electric right now, right? And there's no bombs dropping over your head. There's no somebody banging on the door trying to break in to take you away right now. You're doing pretty damn good. You might have some money issues, and you might but you got shoes on your feet, the heat's on, the electric's on. There's people running around right now trying to hide for themselves and save their lives. No shoes on, haven't eaten in a week. Believe me, we're doing pretty damn good if you're listening to my voice right now. Okay? So, gratitude journaling, right? You want to get out and walk. You want to get that blood moving in your body, right? Just got to get out there and walk. And then most of all, reduce the financial comparison. Stop worrying about what the neighbor got, what somebody else is driving, what else is going on. Stop it. Their story is not your story. And believe me, those people who are shining probably are in worse financial situations than you, but they just trying to look good while they do it because they're still living in the delusion that they're okay, but not us, not us, because we're right here, right? We're right here. We're going to take this situation that we're in and we're going to turn it from a mess to a message, our testimony that we got through it and we're better off on the other end. So we're going to keep it moving, right? Still stop that financial comparison. So we're going to wrap it up today because, like I said, this show is about results. I like starting on time and ending on time. Stress is your body whispering to you. Act before it becomes a scream. Start your plan today and reclaim your peace of mind. This is Moving Money Mike. We're here to get your mind and your money right. Go to the Legacy Insights podcast on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, scan that QR code, put your name in there, your email, register, take that financial overview, learn some things, reaffirm some things, get that information so that you can get your mind and your money right. I am so glad and thankful, and I appreciate you for your time and effort tonight in getting your mind and your money right. I'm your host, Moving Money Mike, and we're out. See ya.